The fourth installment in the Tom Holland Spider-Man era will be titled Spider-Man Brand New Day. Do you want Peter to be sad and like trying to get MJ back, or do you want him moving on?
I want him moving on. There's nothing wrong with like being like, man, I had a great thing. I wish I still had it. But I think at this point he's got to move forward, and then something pulls back in, and he's like, I was 2 days from retirement.
Welcome back to the Breakroom. It's a brand new day for our friendly neighborhood Spider-Man as Sony hits us with some webhead updates yesterday. We'll break down all the big news from Cinemacon. Plus, later this episode, we'll lock in our final predictions for the White Lotus Season 3 finale. It's the headline show. Hit that graphic. Hit it.
Whoa, the graphic was so good.
Whoa, what a great graphic. That's the best one I've ever seen.
I'm Brandon Barrick, and joining me today, she's always been suspicious of that web crawler. It's Gina Ippolito.
Get me pictures of Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah. Also joining us today, he thinks that the next Spider-Man should be played by Ben Mendelsohn. It's John Costa.
He needs to be old and evil.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want my Spider-Man to be a bad guy.
Perfect. Coming up on the show today, we got lots of news from Cinemacon that we need to go through. Plus, there was a Time Magazine article on Superman.
My
Remember
favorite.
Time Magazine?
Times Man of the Year?
Wow.
Do they still print Time Magazine?
You know
I
what?
think they do.
You were Time Man of the Year.
I was?
1 year.
Oh, we all
You
were.
were Time Person of the Year.
Everyone can
I
get
was
a
Time
little-
Person
Well,
of the Year.
some
at
people
one
watching
point.
this probably were not born yet. So
Listen,
they were not
listen,
Time
if you're a
Person of the Year.
6-year-old watching this show, that's a great Father's Day gift for your dad. Times Dad of the Year.
Times Person of the Year issue from 2000.
That is such
Where it was a mirror on the
No,
picture.
yeah, it's like, get it for your dad, put his picture on there. Every dad will love that for Father's Day. Get him that
Every
and a
dad.
wacky tie.
Yeah.
Gina always has the best advice, and you should listen to it 100% of the time.
Please. Also on the show today, we're going to lock in our final predictions for the White Lotus finale on the back half. So if you're watching the replay and you're just here for that, you can skip to that part in the chapters below. I guess Brian will be putting in chapters now. You're welcome, Brian. But first, we got to talk about Spider-Man, please. Woo! Please. Cinemacon is happening right now in Las Vegas. And yesterday's big presentation came from Sony. So we're going to start off our conversation with the biggest news from their panel. Jumanji 3 is happening, folks. We're back.
What
We're
was
back,
Jumanji
baby.
2?
You didn't watch Jumanji The Next Level?
Yeah, they were in the
With
video
Robin
game.
Williams in it?
Robin Williams had passed away at the
Yeah.
time, so they
Damn.
recast him with Nick Jonas. Same
Yeah.
character.
Oh, he's the same.
Yep,
Yeah,
they play
yeah.
the same character. And I
No,
think
Nick
Aquafina
Jonas
was in
is
that
the
one.
other kid that got
No,
sucked
yeah,
in,
I
right?
was making a joke.
I don't really remember a lot of. I liked the first Jumanji, but the second
First
one.
Jumanji is great.
No, the
Not
first
the- not the
Jumanji of the new
OG,
era.
the
Which,
Oh.
you're right, the first
Yes.
Jumanji is great.
Yeah.
Then we had Jon Favreau's Zathura, which is not connected, but is basically a remake. Then we got
Oh, so there's already been
Jumanji.
3. Why is this called Jumanji 3 if there's already been 3 Jumanjis?
They rebooted
No,
it.
I
So
don't
they
care. I don't care
rebooted
for
it.
this.
It's a video game now with The Rock and Jack Black.
Oh, that I remember.
And that was the first one, and then they made a
And
second
Nebula's
one,
in
and now
it,
they
too.
made it.
That I remember. Mhm.
And some other folks, right?
Kevin Hart.
Kevin
is
Hart,
also
yeah,
in
yeah,
the
yeah.
films. Yes. No, screw Jumanji 3. We
Whoa.
did get some updates on both the live action and the animated Spider-Man universes. Let's kick it off with the live action, folks. The fourth installment in the Tom Holland Spider-Man era will be titled Spider-Man Brand New Day.
It's a
I said
brand
Spider-Man
new
like he's a lawyer.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man Brand New Day.
Two
Look at
things I
that.
want to say.
All
First
right.
of all, the font for Spider-Man is excellent. The font for exclusively in movie theaters July 31st, 2026 is terrible.
That's just
isn't that
normal
the generic
fonts.
Marvel
That's
font?
What are we
normal
doing?
fonts.
What are we doing? So bad.
I
It's
do
like
agree.
Gotham
It's
standard.
just normal.
I like the new Spider-Man treatment. I saw people online pointing out the Brand New Day is in the Homecoming
It is.
style font.
Yeah.
So they've kept like the
They
subscript.
like moved it down.
Yeah,
Well, they
but-
removed the old subscript,
Yeah.
which was like playful
Okay.
and handwritten and had like the little
Oh,
spider
yeah, I do
logos.
remember that,
But then
yeah.
they moved the like regular Spider-Man to be
Oh,
the
okay.
sub-
It's very interesting.
fonts, guys. That's what we're here to
They
talk
hired
about.
a giant spider to do those graphics.
I think they hired the cheapest font person they could find. to
So
save
maybe
money.
a spider. Maybe a
Oh, maybe
spider.
it was
Could have been a spider.
Yeah,
Spiders
spider.
don't work on retainer.
Of course, we knew this, but the film is coming out July 31st, 2026.
2026.
Still being directed.
Get me more pictures of Spider-Man now!
Still being directed by Destin Daniel Cretton after he stepped down from directing what was going to be Kang's Dynasty, but no more.
Wow.
They're expected to go into production very soon.
Do you think we'll
this
get Kang
summer.
in this movie?
My Kelsey bet is on no.
Okay.
For Kang. For this
Just had to
film.
ask.
He wrote a letter
He wrote a letter.
Unanswered. Public letter. So yeah, we know this movie's coming out. Still excited. Still no info on any new people being cast for this film or who Sadie Sink's going to play in the film.
And the confirmed cast is pretty limited, right?
Yeah.
It's Tom Holland, Zendaya, Jacob Batalon, Jon Favreau, and Sadie Sink, right? I think that's it.
That's pretty much it. So still not a ton about the plot and all that. We got a title, which is exciting. Now, if you're an avid comic book reader, you might be going, hey, that sounds familiar, Brand New Day. There was a story arc in the comics called Spider-Man Brand New Day. And if that has you worried, don't worry, I would say. Because they've done this before, and we'll talk about that as we go on. The Brand New Day, in the comics, the Brand New Day story takes place right after the One More Day story, which people really don't like.
People hate that.
Yeah.
People hate that film or that run. Jeez Louise.
Yeah.
People hate that run. But I think Brand New Day was sort of the obvious follow-up for No Way Home, because One More Day kind of like follows a similar thing to No Way Home, where people forget Spider-Man's identity.
If you've read the comics, they do like Civil War in the comics, and
MJ
Spider-Man
and Peter
like
are not
famously
together at the end.
Yeah, Spider-Man famously like outed himself. He's like, my name's Peter Parker. Yeah. So they wanted to undo all that in the comics. They did this thing with like Mephisto, and he does a spell, and everyone forgets who Spider-Man is. So the Brand New Day kind of takes place after that story happens. No one remembers who Spider-Man is. He's divorced from MJ. They don't even remember being married. Like, Mary Jane and Peter Parker don't even really remember being married in their minds. Like, the wedding, like, just didn't happen or something. Like, they remember maybe being together. It's very weird, as most comic book stories are. But basically, very similar to how the movies have kind of left off. No one remembers that he's Spider-Man. But also in the comics, like, things are very different because Aunt May is, like, alive again. She's volunteering at Feast, which they've kind of introduced in both the animated and video game and live action universes. And like in the comics too, like Harry had been dead, but he's alive again. So all this kind of there are some similar things, but very different things. And again, Marvel's kind of done this in the past, right? They've used the name of a comic story arc, but didn't follow the exact plot points.
Yeah,
right?
Some would argue Daredevil Born Again right now.
That's a great example.
Season 3 of Daredevil was really the Born Again storyline.
Born Again, yeah.
And then, you have like Secret Invasion, which very much was different from the comic event.
There's been 2 Secret Invasions in the comics.
We pulled a few others, like Age of Ultron was a 2013 comic run before the 2015 movie, which didn't really have that much similarity.
No,
Civil War the teams were very different characters. Obviously, like the Infinity Gems storyline is a little different from Infinity War and Endgame. Yeah, there's a bunch of Marvel loves to do like, hey, we're gonna take a name people are familiar with, and then we're gonna still tell our own story, even if it should thematically fit. But I think Brand New Day really for Marvel is just like, hey, Peter is starting from scratch at this point, and that's what it means for him to have a brand new day.
Right. Now, the first MCU Spider-Man trilogy was like the Home trilogy, right? Homecoming, Far From Home, No Way Home. Do we think they're going to do this with Day?
Yeah, it's like...
You think they'll do 3 days?
Spider-Man and the Very Bad No Good Day.
That's Disney's
number 2.
Putting that out right now, as we speak. I'm getting emails about that movie.
I would hope that maybe there's a world in which they think they're going to do... We do think they're doing a trilogy. Amy Pascal sort of alluded to that in the past.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they're doing this and saying, like, we're going to leave the door open for that kind of thing. But, like, I don't want you to feel forced to title the second movie in this run
Spider-Man
Another Day.
Spider-Man it takes place all at night,
Spider-Man Green Day?
Green Day.
I think they do
Big
the
San Francisco
Beetlejuice crossover.
Oakland?
It's Spider-Man Day-O.
Oh.
Day-O.
Day-O. That's what I think is going to happen.
So, interestingly, right,
Yeah.
in the comics, and if you've played the Spider-Man video game, the first one, this, like, May and Martin Lee are both working at Feast together, and they sort of, like, do the One More Day thing in the Spider-Man video game with Martin Lee and the Dragon's Breath stuff and all that kind of stuff. And then they kind of, like, left turn into Sinister Six stuff and all that. But, with May now being dead in the 616, Martin Lee feels like a good mentor figure to Peter.
Right.
Could be, someone who takes over-feast and is, like, doing that for Peter while he's, you know, people don't know who Peter is, so you could see him, like, wanting to volunteer at feast to be around people that he knows, but, you know, his anonymity is still out there. And if you're not familiar with who Martin Lee is, he becomes Mr. Negative. And so, like, you could see that, like, Norman Osborn mentorship role to Peter and then turning into a villain.
He needs to stop. I
know, he picks really bad mentors.
Like, every one of his mentors. Maybe he's the problem, you guys. Listen, Peter Parker, go to therapy, figure out why you're the common denominator that drives all these mentors to insanity.
I mean, he was a young man bitten by a radioactive spider that put a lot of responsibility on his shoulders. I think that's playing into it.
So let's talk, since we don't really know much more about this movie. I see a super chat here from Tim R. Who will be the prominent MCU character Sony gets to have in the movie as part of the Sony MCU deal? Right, like we had Tony Stark in the first one. We had Doctor Strange. I'm sorry. Sam Jackson in the second one. We had Strange in the third one, and now with Destin Daniel Cretton directing, a lot of us are sort of thinking maybe Shang-Chi is the person, but like, I don't know. That's
so weird.
It kind of feels out of left field, right?
How do you get Shang-Chi from like San Francisco to New York in a natural way?
Well,
he has no idea who Spider-Man is.
He's in New York at the end of Shang-Chi, right? He's at the Sanctum Sanctorum trying to figure out
New York? I guess he gets portaled in. Is that what you're saying?
Doesn't he talk to Wong at the Sanctum?
You're right.
Sanctorum in New York?
They're at a bar in San Francisco, and then a portal opens, and I guess they did go to the Sanctum. I don't know where they went, but I guess they did go.
Bruce
to the
is there.
You got me. Well, Bruce
Marvel
is there in hologram only, and so is.
They take a phone call
and a hologram.
But anyways, long story short, like they could be in New York. But I agree. I think like those two characters don't feel like.
Let's say it's not Shang-Chi or Shang-Chi. Who do you think that Marvel, that Kevin Feige was like, Sony, I want this character. You get to have this character for your movie for like 30 minutes of screen time in your movie.
Who do we want to see Spider-Man interact with the most? Who's the most fun pairing? Assuming it's not going to be Cap, because that would be like, two New York boys going on a bender. Assuming it's not him, who do we want to see with this?
I kind of hope it is Old Man Cap. And he's like, well, my mind didn't get white. I know exactly who the hell you are.
I
want to show you around some of my old spots. Hey guy. Hey, Peter, you want to see some of my old spots? Let me show you. This alleyway right here. This is where I got my ass kicked before Dr. Erskine gave me the juice.
I'll say this, right?
Like, Peter Parker, can you transfuse some of your blood into my blood? I heard there's a billionaire doing that right now, and he's living longer.
Well, speaking of billionaires, right? Like Kingpin obviously is a villain that you would want to pair with Spider-Man classically, but Daredevil also is kind of another person who's in New York.
Daredevil does seem to be very mentory.
We've seen Matt and Peter interact together. We've not seen Spider-Man and Daredevil interact together.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got Daredevil right now on his little show swinging around like he's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
He's swinging around.
I think it's going to be Blade. I think like Peter Parker is going to go to like a nightclub. He's going to use a little fake ID to get in, and then all of a sudden blood starts coming from the ceiling, and he's like, "Oh geez!"
Would his Spidey sense go off right before the blood hit?
It probably would,
but not before going into a bar full of vampires.
But I bet those vampires don't want his blood. So I bet he's going to be like safe, and then Blade's going to be like, "Get out of here, kid." And he's like, "I'm also kind of a superhero, man."
Have they done that story in the comics? Spider-Man gets bit by a vampire.
Yes.
And then the vampires who drink his blood get like powered up.
There is something vampire-y and spider, like there is like, but maybe I'm thinking of like Spider-Man's blood mutating. You know?
I was going to say
he becomes the spider monster.
Right, but one of them is specifically like a vampire.
Okay. I mean, friend of the show, Jordan Morris, just wrote a great little short Spider-Man story.
I ran into him at WonderCon.
I've got a signed copy of it, but it was great where Spider-Man is a vampire, and it's very cool.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
Maybe that's what but I think if Marvel Comics, if you haven't done it yet, vampire bites Spider-Man, drinks his blood, you get Spider.
Copyright Brandon Barrick.
Yeah. It's Nina Baby in the YouTube chat is doing a classic New Rockstars.
Okay.
Which is to say, probably a little hard of a reach for me.
Okay.
But this is what they're saying, and I think it's fun. Spider-Man Brand New Day. Avengers Doomsday.
Oh.
Thoughts? That's the whole message. Maybe they're pitching that Avengers Doomsday is in the Spider-Man trilogy as part of the day.
No, I think it's like saying like Spider-Man has a brand new day, but that day is
brings on
Doomsday.
Well, this movie will be coming out after Doomsday.
Right.
I could see if Spider-Man,
But I think that's important because this, the two movies that came out between Infinity War and Endgame were Ant-Man and the Wasp, which technically takes place right before it, and then the post-credit scene is the events of Infinity War. And then Captain Marvel, which was a pivotal movie kind of setting up the denouement of Endgame, right? They had to introduce Captain Marvel so that they could pay it off at the end of Doomsday. I mean, the post-credit scene of Infinity War was basically being like, we're making a Captain Marvel movie, surprise.
Right.
So... it is interesting that this movie is going to take place in between these two big Avengers movies, and this is a Sony-made movie, and Marvel gets input on it, but I think there could be a lot of setup for how Secret Wars is going to play out based on the Spider-Man movie, and maybe whatever happens in Doomsday either directly sets up what happens in Spider-Man, and that sets up Secret Wars, or it's like a similar thing where most of Spider-Man Brand New Day takes place before the events of Doomsday, and then the post-credit is like Doomsday is happening.
I mean, it could also be like Doom in Doomsday, like at the end of Doomsday, he's like, I'm going to go to New York City. And then he shows up.
He licks the screen because he sees Spider-Man.
Sure this has something to do with Spider-Man.
and then like, Peter Parker sees Doom, and he's like, Mr. Stark? And he's like, yes, hide me out in your house.
That seems like
that is a big question.
Is that too obvious to happen? Right?
That is a big question. Will the MCU's Peter Parker see Tony Stark in Doctor Doom?
And be like,
I hope
I don't
he's
know.
the only one who doesn't see it. He's like, I don't see it.
I don't see it.
I
don't see the resemblance.
Yeah. This poor
I can't
kid
wait.
has had so many failed father figures in his life, so many dead father figures in his life, that if he sees Doom, he's probably just going to be like, I can't do this again, you guys.
I cannot wait for Robert Downey Jr. to go full like sympathizer in Doomsday and like be wearing so much prosthetics he doesn't look anything like Robert Downey Jr. I think that would be great.
I know the Russo brothers have come out and said Tony's death is impactful and means something to Doomsday, but I'm still on kind of team we're not going to see Robert Downey Jr.'s face.
Never see his face? I mean, that might be true.
It's just going to be his ass?
Just that ass.
He's pulling an
Latveria's ass.
He's talking through his ass?
A couple of people are pitching Johnny Storm as a kind of frequent collaborator.
This is fun.
And now, we know
that's got a lot of comic origin.
Right. And for a second I was like, well, no, they're in a different universe. I keep completely forgetting. That movie's coming out soon. It's coming out in like 3 or 4 months.
They'll be here before Spider-Man.
And so if we think that they're going to end up in the 616, it's possible that that's not the case. But if it is, that would be a very fun pairing.
Where do we think Reed Richards is in like the 616? Is he just like some country boy who drank too much in his high school days and never developed that brain?
He's just like a stoner now, and like
Sue Storm lives in like the next neighborhood over. He's like, yeah, she's a real good looker. I'd never get a girl like that. Not old.
That is what we want out of the What
Reed
If.
Richards.
That's what we want out of the What If series. It's just a bunch of fuck ups.
I did too many drugs when I was a young man. This old brain ain't going to college. And instead of like the salt and pepper hair, he's got like burn scars from a meth lab that blew up. I want to see dumb Reed Richards.
I mean, he could.
We had the dumbest Kang.
We had the dumbest Kang.
Oh yeah,
he got trapped. He got trapped in Quantumania.
Yeah. That's true.
He was the dumbest Kang.
Here's another pitch from Jeremiah Torres in the YouTube chat. We're talking about Doomsday. We got this casting announcement. There's a lot of X-Men characters. Eric sort of speculated in his video that we're going to get sort of an Avengers versus X-Men movie.
Sure.
Right.
And Jeremiah's pitch here is that maybe, Doom sort of pits the X-Men. Now we're taking a little bit of a left turn from Spider-Man here, but pits the X-Men and the Avengers against each other so that he could get to Loki and kind of like cause a distraction for the heroes.
Okay.
So that he could get to the main
he wants
guy.
To get to Loki.
He wants to get to Loki.
Okay.
Who knows? I don't know where people think of, like who in the universe in the MCU even knows what Loki's up to right now.
Right.
Not too many people, mostly just TVA
We're just living
folks.
our lives.
Yeah.
But, Chris Hemsworth is going to be in this movie. He was announced. No Tom Holland announced for Doomsday. We'll see if
but that,
we get
that
a secondary
like
announcement.
Sony didn't want it.
Maybe.
Yeah. Also, they gotta save some. I keep seeing people online who are mad that they didn't announce this person or that person. They gotta save some.
They said they're going to do more.
They gotta save some.
If Spider-Man's not...
They ran out of chairs.
If Spider-Man's not in Avengers Doomsday, will you be upset?
I think it's so packed, I probably will forget by the time that movie is over who is not in it.
I think he might not be in it at all.
I think he might not be in it, or maybe it'll be, I mean, if it is...
No one knows how to call him.
Weren't there those rumors, though, that he was, like, the lead of that movie? I don't know.
I don't know.
We don't look at
rumors. We don't look at leaks.
Fuck your rumors.
I would be disappointed. I like that character.
Sure. That's fair.
But if it's a good movie, then who cares?
You can watch Uncharted until Brand New Day comes out.
And I will. I watch that movie every night as I go to bed. Okay, a couple of other characters.
Cherry until it comes out.
We got the No Way Home barrage of returnees.
Okay,
right?
Yes,
we get
26 new names.
We get a bunch of old characters returning. A lot of people thought Mysterio was going to show up in that movie. We saw concept art that Mysterio was going to show up at the Statue of Liberty. I'll ask this.
He's going to show up in No Way Home.
Do you think that there's a world where Vulture or Mysterio or even Doctor Strange shows up in this movie?
I think
you're talking like, Brand New Day.
Brand New Day.
Okay.
I mean, at this point, I feel like they need a new, like that's like an old trick, like to bring back the old characters from, like that to me is an old trick.
On a new villain.
Yeah, like I kind of want. I'm not saying that we can't see like Easter eggs of them or something like that.
And there are great Marvel characters that we haven't seen that have been rumored, right? Like a Martin Lee or a Black Cat or Harry Osborn is someone that I really want to see Peter interact with.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think I think after No Way Home, it's diminishing returns if they keep saying like, remember this person, they're back. It's like, oh, you already did it so well with No Way Home. Now do something new.
I kind of want to see Chameleon, frankly.
Yeah.
Now they teased that obviously in that lovely Craven movie.
We loved it.
Oh yeah,
we loved it. We had no notes on it. Totally awesome. But I think
these are the ones that I got.
That is Venom 3. How dare you? How dare you confuse the two?
It's the only Venom that matters to me.
No,
is there no
in Craven they
didn't get Maroon 5
into Ed Sheeran.
They didn't get
Ed Sheeran
okay, it was Ed Sheeran.
He does 2 songs in different voices because he's Chameleon. No, I think now is the perfect time to have Chameleon, right? Because Spider-Man has reset himself in the universe. No one knows who Spider-Man is. The public doesn't know anymore. That now is the time for Chameleon to come in and be like, I'm Spider-Man, and pretend to be Spider-Man, which is the original comic. And I think that's a fun thing to do, where Spider-Man, with no friends, no allies, and now some guy pretending to be him, has to try and convince the public that he's a good guy.
I am a broken record, but I want old Madam Web. I want the old one. I want her to come in on a chair and be like, Spider-Man.
Dakota Johnson.
I need your
help. You get Dakota Johnson in the Haley Atwell old lady makeup.
No!
From Captain America.
No!
Yes.
Well, to your Chameleon point, in the Brand New Day comic storyline, part of the story is that like the Daily Bugle is really struggling, and Peter has to like go take more pictures of himself so that the Daily Bugle can start doing well.
He hasn't been Spider-Man for like 100 days. And he's like, I guess I'll go take a photo of myself as Spider-Man.
It's like when people like leave Instagram, like they're like, oh, this face has gotten too toxic for me, man. I'm like bouncing my exit, and then like after 2 weeks, they're like, I'm super bored and no one's inviting me to parties anymore.
Yeah, so maybe that is the story. Is like Chameleon's like, hey, I'm Spider-Man. And he's like, okay, fine. I'm gonna go do some flips. I'm gonna do some swings. I'm gonna take some photos. It's not Chameleon. I'm here. He's over there.
But also, didn't they kind of do that art? Like, didn't Mysterio kind of like? I just feel like we're recycling a lot of like Mysterio was like, look, is this Spider-Man doing bad stuff?
Yeah, totally.
That's the key of Spider-Man in the comics is that like, yes, the city loved him and whatever, but like half the city's like, I don't trust this guy.
I want Zach Cherry to show up playing his role in Severance.
Oh, you want him to be Dylan.
I want
Innie Dylan or Outie Dylan?
I want him to be Innie Dylan.
Okay.
Innie Dylan, like someone flipped the switch. He's on the streets of New York, and then all of a sudden Spider-Man swings by, and he's like, "Whoa! Oh my God!
He did a flip!
What? This guy did a flip? What kind of world is this?" And then I want him to go back to the Severance floor and be like, "They got men spiders out there."
He thinks it's just a regular occurrence. There's just a bunch of them.
Every city's got a man.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
That definitely makes sense.
One of the things we also don't know is like who Sadie Sink is playing
It's true.
in this movie. Now, in the Brand New Day comic, again, there's a hero named Jackpot who people are sort of like, oh, that could be who Sadie Sink is playing because she has like red hair.
Yes, and part of the plot is Peter thinks that Mary Jane is the hero Jackpot.
And so that's why I think it's not jackpot.
Right.
Because the whole point kind of is that like Peter thinks it's MJ.
Yeah.
And Sadie Sink and Zendaya do not look alike.
And that's a big difference from like Brand New Day and what they're doing right now in the MCU. In Brand New Day, Peter's mind is also messed up. Mm-hmm. But as far as we know in the MCU, like Tom Holland's Peter Parker remembers everything. He's the one who remembers everything that happened. The spell didn't affect him in that way. So he knows that MJ is at MIT going to classes and probably not running around New York City as a hero.
Yeah, he put an Apple AirTag on her and follows her around everywhere.
She keeps getting the notification that's like an AirTag's following you. She's like, I just keep seeing this guy who's like has a coffee cup.
Do you want Peter? I guess do you want Peter to be sad and like trying to get MJ back, or do you want him moving on?
I want him moving on. I want him like moving on, but like sort of like there's nothing wrong with like being like, man, I had a great thing. I wish I still had it. But I think at this point, like he's got to move forward, and then something pulls back in, and he's like, I was 2 days from retirement. And
I don't want like a lovesick Peter like creeping on this woman.
I don't either.
Though I do like the idea that there's something missing in MJ, and she seeks out Spider-Man for whatever reason, and he's trying to like let her be.
Yeah.
You know, that was the decision he made at No Way Home.
He went
into that coffee shop to like unload his trauma on her.
Yeah.
And saw that she was happy and backed away.
Right.
I mean, that's the eternal sunshine in the spot's mind is like, oh, you remember something. Like maybe she has like a vibrator that looks like a spider.
Oh my gosh. Jesus
a spidrator?
No, stop.
Yeah, thank you.
No.
Hey, Nerd Riot shop, everybody.
Supposed to say yes and
No, I'm not
We're selling spydrators on Nerd Riot right now.
Mom, if you're watching, I'm
Go take
so
a look.
sorry.
I just got a Slack message about that.
Yeah.
Drop some money on a spidrator.
It's HR slacking him immediately. We did also get update. Oh, sorry. Do you want to... Any other thoughts around like Sadie Sink?
No, Spiderverse.
I don't know.
Time.
I don't have any new insight into who she could be in this movie. Do you want her to be any of the rumored characters?
I just want her to be a hot dog vendor, just a random hot dog vendor on the street.
She's at the halal cart.
Yeah, like she's like the works, and then he's like, yeah, and then you never see her again.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like if they casted her as Jean Grey.
Did you say cast?
I did say. I apologize.
Oh my God,
Brian, take that out.
It's cast.
If they cast her as Jean Grey, this would be the weirdest way.
You mean casted?
Yes. Thank you, John. Thank you. If you casted her, if they cast her as Jean Grey, this is the weirdest way to start that, right?
Boo.
Yes.
And like
agreed. Very strange.
I don't need her to be like, I go to school up in upstate New York. Like, I'm not looking for that here.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the question, right? Is that like everyone wants this to be a grounded story, and I agree with that opinion. And I think if you put someone like Jean Grey in this movie, you're automatically like, you're not doing like the street level Spider-Man thing. You're putting mutants in the movie. Now we're introducing a lot of new people. I kind of just want it to be like a Spider-Man story that is relatively contained. Yeah. However, we think he's going to be in Doomsday. Mm-hmm. That's a multiverse story. How do you tell that story with Spider-Man and not have him now be a multiversal hero again?
Yeah. I mean, in the Spider-Man, in the like X-Men animated series and the Spider-Man animated series, when they crossed over, it was because Spider-Man's mutation started to get out of control. And someone was like, oh, there's an expert on genetics. Do you want to go see him? And then that expert was Charles Xavier, who was like, damn, boy, you're turning into a spider. He's like, well, this is crazy.
I've never seen that before. Here, wear this weird helmet. It's going to fuck you up.
But if it, I mean, like, and that was like a great story. But if it is something like, oh, he for some reason needs to consult an expert. I mean, this is like we saw Jean Grey in the Alias comics being what Jessica Jones is, because she had to put a mental block in Jessica Jones's mind to prevent the Purple Man, aka Kilgrave, from controlling her mind. So, it could be that like Jean Grey is an expert on mind control and he's trying to consult an expert on, hey, how do we did this spell, everyone's memories got erased. Can you as sort of a mind expert figure out how to like just for this one person, just for MJ, can you give her memmories back? And Jean Grey's like, nah. You want a hot dog though?
I like this.
With everything?
They're all hot dog vendors.
She's a real confederacy of dumpsters out there.
It's a long commute from the X Mansion.
Do you want a hot dog? I like that. I like that pitch.
I mean, I'm just crossing a bunch of streams with comic book stories.
I mean, and I think that like
question, I think if you want to, you tell the grounded Spider-Man story, like have that be the whole movie, and then the end of the movie is like a portal opens up and Galactus is coming through.
I mean, to your point about Ant-Man and the Wasp,
maybe this movie, you got any hot dogs?
Maybe this movie takes place.
I need 10 million hot dogs,
and that's the problem.
Make them look like little people.
That's why he's really angry. Yeah. He's like, we couldn't get the hot dog order in.
No planet has hot dogs. Yeah,
that's a good point.
Starving.
Like, we don't know that this movie doesn't take place before Doomsday. It's going to come out the summer after Doomsday.
Yes, it'll be July. Doomsday is May. This comes out in July.
Sorry, it's 2 months after Doomsday. So maybe it does take place beforehand. Okay, last question on Spider-Man 4. I do want to shout out a couple of super chatters.
Please.
I apologize. We have Travis Kennedy. That's a normal name that I had trouble reading. A live-action Spider-Man and his amazing friends.
Okay. People are saying that because there is the character Firestar, I believe.
Yeah.
Who is a mutant with like red hair.
Everyone's so hung up on this red hair. Y'all know actors could change their hair color, right?
Famously, Emma Stone, who's not naturally redhead, but redhead. She went blonde to be Gwen Stacy.
Yeah. Also, original MJ is a blonde and went red. Like, there's never
Kirsten Dunst.
Kirsten Dunst.
Okay. Yeah. Obviously, but yes.
Mom and
people can change their color.
And hey,
it's happened.
Mom and Son's Comics and Collectibles wants a Spider-Man Nightcrawler team up.
Welcome, Spider-Man, to the Trader's Mansion.
I mean, just more Alan Cumming. Really what I'm looking for.
Let him do it.
And then the Cooper B.
Okay.
DB Cooper.
Oh, we found him.
Outing themselves. I want to say that every project after Thunderbolts is going to be time runs out, but for our different teams' perspectives.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, I could see that. Fun. I don't know if they want to like retread. If they can find a way to make them feel different, I think that could be the case.
That's a fun thing. Yeah.
My last Spider-Man 4 question.
Okay.
Mephisto.
Okay.
Big in One More Day.
Right.
Obviously, that's the person that Spider-Man makes this deal with, not Doctor Strange. Mm-hmm. Sacha Baron Cohen is maybe going to be playing a Mephisto kind of character in Ironheart later this year. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Any chance?
I don't think so.
No chance.
I think they do want to stay away from that part of it. I don't think they want to retread any of the like One More Day.
Mm-hmm. One more day.
Stuff that people don't like.
Yeah, and I also don't think, if they're introducing Sacha Baron Cohen as Mephisto in Ironheart, if that is true, I don't know if that's going to make the jump to the big screen. Mm-hmm. You know, they have really slow played Ironheart.
They really
very worried about this show, mainly because I think the more time they have to sit and like noodle with it, they're messing it up.
Production delays are never a good thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I hope the show is good. I like the character of Riri Williams. I like what little bit we got to see in Wakanda Forever,
very fun.
Especially in a tough movie to make, where you're kind of eulogizing an actor in the whole movie.
You've seen the trailer for Ironheart
3 years ago, almost.
Some time ago.
Yeah, and like the footage was fine. Like, people in mech suits is always fun. Everything Anthony Ramos has done. He's been in so many franchises, from Stars Born, that franchise, to the Transformers, to Twisters, like everything. He's great and like very grounded and like earnest in his performance. Mm-hmm. I'm excited to see what he does in the show. I'm just worried that they have been messing with the show behind the scenes.
I'm worried.
And doing weird insert green screen stuff, and I don't know what they're doing to the story.
It's never good.
Yeah.
We never had like a delay and then it turned out to be awesome. Right? Like at least a significant delay beyond just like, it's like 2 weeks, we pushed it 2 weeks
and
back.
This isn't because of strikes. It's not because of anything. They've just been moving it around.
Usually, once a studio, like once they like lose faith in a project, that is the worst place to be as a writer, as an actor, because then everyone's got opinions on how to fix it, and it becomes a too many cooks situation, and then it just ends up being a bland soup.
Yeah.
And then you have, you got to go do a press tour for it, and everyone's asking you kind of like shitbag questions that are like, hey, what's going on with the show? Why is it so bad? And they're like, I don't know. Is it bad? I don't know.
It's like, just please, I just want to still act again.
Yeah. So we just talked a lot about Spider-Man 4. Now I want to go
Flip it.
Beyond the Spider-Man.
Whoa.
Good. Want to go beyond. We also got updates for Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse, the sequel to Across the Spider-Verse, which itself was a sequel to Into the Spider-Verse.
Yes.
We got a date. March 2024.
Just kidding.
Was when it was originally set to come out last March. Now
was that even the original date?
I'm not totally sure. I know that
Into the Spider-Verse,
Across the Spider-Verse was delayed at some point.
And that came out in 2023.
Came out in 2023.
And they said, and at the time it was like next year.
They were like, hey man, we're good. And then I think, Haley Steinfeld came out and was like, I haven't recorded anything.
Yeah, she said she hadn't recorded anything.
And everyone was like, ooh,
that's the fastest part of an animated, like anything animation. Like a voice actor can bang out a performance in a day.
But I think that told us all like, oh, it's not coming out.
Yeah.
It's not coming out in 9 months.
So we did get a release date. When is it, John?
So we're talking about June 4th, 2027.
We'll all be dead by then.
So that's more than 2 years from now.
There's no way we as a people are making it 2 more years.
And I agree, especially,
this was for
they could have done July 4th, and we could have had a patriotic Spider-Man movie.
Oh.
And now I think they're doing this because they don't want it to be so American. That's a segue to this image that we got that I did not cue Brian for. So,
Red, White, and Beyond.
Brian, if you know the image that's like a little bit more vague than all the other ones, is that helpful? Is that helpful to you? You nailed it. Thank you, Brian.
Good work.
So, in good work from Brandon, I think he made this call. Probably Spider-Punk's universe here, right?
It looks like Spider-Punk's. He uses, of course, a cutout.
He used all these cutouts. We think we see Big Ben in the top left there. There's a guitar neck kind of sticking out there.
Good job, Brandon.
This looks like some kind of harbor with the sailboat masts, or like maybe this oil rig type of thing they're standing on. But I just wanted to bring that up because it is similar to the color palette of Spider-Gwen's universe, but we think it's probably Spider-Punk.
And they're on a little team, right? You have...
Yeah.
The end of Across the Spider-Verse was like...
He gives up his wristwatch or whatever the name
puts together a little team of some of the old folks from Into the Spider-Verse, Spider-Gwen, and Spider-Punk.
If he dies, I'll be so sad, though.
I think he's one of the most likely candidates.
I know, but and those types of characters always die because they're the most fun, but you can't continue on the bit indefinitely. Right. So they're like, let's kill the character.
We did get a few more images from Beyond the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, if we want to just kind of run through them at Brian's pace.
We got, this guy.
He's upside down.
Who's that? Who's
this?
That?
I mean, I love this, but it's like so vague. You're like, where are you in this shot? I have no idea.
Ripped up. He's battle worn.
He looks a little sad.
He does look a little sad. Yeah. He does look a little sad. This one is a good question. Is this Earth 42, right? We end the movie in Earth 42. It's a little bit more, I don't know, chromatic aberration-y than some of the other universes.
This could be like a moving shot, too. They're displaying.
Totally.
You got a sign there for Stegron, who's like a character in the comics. I was trying to make out some of the other ones, too. They're really hard to read. They hurt my eyes. And then this.
Love this.
Come on.
This is also hard. Is this like the web of life and destiny we're traveling through or something like that? Like it's hard to place where we are here.
Well, this is also, this is the Prowler Spider Miles Morales that we met at the end of the movie.
And we get a great other image of the Prowler here, right? Yeah. Like we think that this is probably early in the movie. Brandon pointed out sort of like how Miles was tied to a punching bag.
They're in a weight room
in Aaron Davis's room, but here's like some weights, some free weights, and a squat rack, and some like ropes and things like that.
Chains, if you're doing some P90X.
Really intense
stuff. Oh
yeah,
You doing this?
So not a lot to like draw from.
You hang the chains around your neck when you do your pull-ups.
That's right.
Just so badass. What's the WOD? That's what this guy's saying all the time. Hey, what's the WOD?
I don't know what that means.
It's the workout of the day, John.
Okay. You could tell
and
by my physique that I don't know what...
You're doing the Diane today.
Okay.
You're doing the Francis.
You're shooting your wad all over
Brian
Diane
knows what
today?
I'm talking about. He's a big...
Gina said it. She can say it.
He's a big... what do they call that workout?
Beachbody.
Yeah, that one.
That's not a workout. That's a company.
The challenge. Real world road rules. The challenge.
Crunch. He goes to Crunch Gym.
Crunch. Orange Theory?
He does some Orange Theory. What's the points? Who's on the leaderboard
that was good.
this week?
So, fun that this movie, we got more out of it than Spider-Man 4, but it's coming the year after.
So far away.
Really, really far away. But look, I can be patient.
Yeah.
Can you?
I know there's a lot of people online who are very mad that there was a part 2 coming after Across the Spider-Verse. People didn't realize that this was a movie in 2 parts.
I think it's going to be hard to see a movie when the Earth has been blown up.
We're also going to be living in a world where the Earth is blown up.
Yeah, and only some of us are going to be invited to space, and I don't think anyone on this panel is making it.
I don't want to go to space. If the Earth is blowing up, leave me on the Earth, please.
That's right. Should we move on to some more news? It is the headline show, and we're running out of time.
We got a lot to go through.
So the Warner Brothers panel will be happening this afternoon at Cinemacon. So we're anxiously awaiting any big news from that. Especially like Superman news, but there also could be, some Godzilla X-Con news.
Yeah.
I'm very excited about that. But we did hear word that they're going to be showing an extended preview for Superman ahead of the Minecraft movie.
Get your tickets now.
This week, which is diabolical.
Get your tickets
That is
now.
diabolical. I've seen some of the funniest tweets from people who saw an advanced copy of the Minecraft movie. They are not positive.
Interesting.
Well, if you're a big White Lotus head and you've been missing Jennifer Coolidge on this season, she's going to be in the Minecraft movie having a relationship with a villager.
Oh boy.
Sort of a weird story.
So, this is like an interesting move they're doing. You old heads out there might remember ahead of the prequel trilogy for Star Wars.
Joe Black.
Star Wars The Phantom Menace, the first trailer for that was shown ahead of a little Brad Pitt vehicle known as Meet Joe Black.
Oh, yeah.
And you had to buy a ticket to meet Joe. So tons of people bought tickets to meet Joe Black just to go watch the Phantom Menace trailer, because this is before like streaming video on the internet, right? This is the only way you're going to see the trailer. And it boosted Meet Joe Black's box office that first
God, those
week.
people have been so mad too. Like,
who's mad?
I would be thrilled. Brad Pitt gets his higher residuals. You know what I mean? Like,
no, I'm saying the audience would have been like, "Why is he eating peanut butter like a weirdo?"
Oh,
they walked out. But people walked out. They're not staying for the whole.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like I have AMC A-list now, so I can just get a ticket to whatever the hell.
The A-list numbers are going to be wild from this Minecraft movie. If you have not watched Meet Joe Black, I encourage you to go online and look up the scene where Brad Pitt is doing an accent to a woman who's dying in the hospital. He does like a traditional kind of
Jamaican. It's Jamaican.
It's like a patois, and it is
more of a Chet Hanks.
He also gets hit by he plays like an angel of death in the movie. He gets hit by a car.
He's a human that basically dies, but he made a connection with this woman, and there's some residual connection,
which is the kind of the plot of Superman, right?
It could be. We don't know.
We don't know.
So if you're interested in using your A-list to go see Minecraft, to catch this extended preview, let us know what happens. But they also put out an interview today in Time Magazine with David Cornsweet ahead of the movie's release this summer. It's an interesting little here's this guy, no one really knows who he is.
Friend of a friend,
and he's about to be in a huge movie, right? Cornsweet. But there were some little tidbits about the movie that we could pull from this article. There was this quote about the character that, Cornsweet's playing, this version of Clark Kent, aka Superman. Quote, he's madly in love with a woman who isn't so sure about him.
Ridiculous plot point already.
And he's made a few superhuman friends who like him but think of him as naive. All of these elements in his life have unbalanced him, and he's a bit, and he's tottering, and we're going to see where he lands in terms of his values and his choices.
Oh man!
So this kind of confirms what we already knew, that this was like this is like year 2 kind of for the Superman. Mm-hmm. He's clearly with Lois Lane, but she's still not sure about it, which is interesting. He's gonna have superhero friends, but this kind of idea where he hasn't landed on his terms of values and choices. I think it's interesting.
It's just like opens with him crying in a strip club, like stuffing dollars into a G-string.
Yeah, I used to be a moderate, but that's not really a thing in America anymore.
He's crying at the strip club. He's like, I don't even need to be here because I can see through clothes. I don't know why I'm inside the club.
Maybe that's why Lois isn't so into him. He keeps giving her creepy ass glances. Like, I don't know about this guy.
Hey, Clark. Hey, when we go to the grocery store, keep your eyes
are up
here,
baby.
Jeez. But I think it's going to present, like, especially, Nathan Fillion has kind of been talking about his portrayal of Guy Gardner, like, he's not really a good dude. Like, I think the Justice League of this movie is going to kind of present a decision for Superman that's like, that's not the good thing to do. You know what I mean? In a kind of like Marvel's Illuminati, making hard decisions.
Yeah.
I think he'll be faced with like a hard decision from his fellow superheroes and have to turn against them or something. I don't know.
Ooh.
I don't know. Another interesting quote came from James Gunn, who was talking about the movie. And James Gunn said, "We shot the 12-minute interview scene with Lois and Clark. That was 10% of the movie in 2 days. And to see the energy and magic between him and Rachel Brosnahan, who's playing Lois Lane, was awesome. Not to mention how incredibly prepared they both were. It was a huge relief." Now, what stuck out to us was like, this interview scene is 10% of the movie?
12 minutes long.
It's
a scene from Hunger.
Well, is this like we're going to start this movie like in media res. They're going to be talking and we're going to keep cutting back and forth, like time jumping in a weird way.
Maybe.
I mean, that would be better than us sitting there for 12 minutes watching this.
I'm sure it's not that. Yeah, you mentioned Hunger, which a Michael Fassbender movie that has a very long take that's 20 minutes.
That's a very long
minutes,
something else.
Hey now. His Fassbender.
It's out.
But I think this is going to be like a weird thematic device that kind of grounds the movie that we're jumping back and forth to, and then at some point we'll continue on from that moment, and that'll be like the third act of the movie, which is like a weird, and it reminds me a lot of Man of Steel, right? That kind of pivotal moment when Lois Lane,
hope.
Yeah, when Lois Lane first talks to Clark Kent in that movie. So I think it's weird that they're kind of going back to this device, this like interview device.
I'm gonna give it a shot. I'm gonna give this.
I mean, I'm excited.
I agree.
I'm gonna give Superman a shot. I'm rooting for it.
We'll watch it. No, I mean, I think like James Gunn has earned the benefit of the doubt at this point as a filmmaker. Yeah. So as much as I'm sort of like turning my nose up to this, I bet it'll be good. He writes good dialogue. I'm sure it'll be gripping and interesting. But you're right, it is like a little bit of a weird thing to come out and say like 10% of our movie is just an interview.
Yeah. It is interesting. It reminds me of like Deadpool, the first Deadpool in a lot of ways, right? Where most of that movie is him on the freeway kind of like jumping back and forth.
Yeah.
Maybe this was like a way to save money. I don't know.
Listen, we just saw in White Lotus a 3-minute long interview, a 3-minute long monologue that was the most riveting thing I've ever seen.
You got to save the White Lotus talk. We're not there yet.
This is the past episode of White Lotus.
You gotta save it.
This is the Sam.
Oh, sad things happen to that character.
But yeah,
he'll be fine.
The Warner Brothers panel is set to start at 1.5 hours at Cinemacon. So stay tuned to the channel if they show any new footage. Now, the Cinemacon's not open to the public. You have to be like either a member of like the organization, it's cinema owners.
It's for the AMCs of the world. The studios are like, look at this cool movie we want you to put in our theater.
But in the last 5 years, I would say they've really tried to make more news at CinemaCon to turn it into their own little like Comic-Con-esque thing.
This is when they
almost like upfronts or something.
This is when they figure out the popcorn bucket theming and the.
I mean, there is a lot of that.
Flaming hot chicken to go with your themed snacks and popcorn buckets. That's all I care about.
Hey man, if you're working on the Dune Messiah popcorn bucket, don't make it Flamin' Hot Cheetos themed because people are gonna do some stuff that's gonna get them hurt.
I say do it.
But yeah, we'll have Warner Brothers later today, so there should be Superman news as well as other news. Like I said, we had Sony yesterday. Later this week, we're going to have Universal will have their time at CinemaCon. There's rumors that there could be like a Wicked for Good trailer coming out of that.
We just got a new poster.
Yeah, we could see more Jurassic World Rebirth stuff. And Disney is scheduled for Thursday.
That's right. Yep.
They need to pull out a win right now. So
you think Disney needs a win?
Yeah, they're on the bottom.
I think after that Snow White debacle, they really need a win.
Fine. I think they're fine. The Snow White did not do well.
I think their team wants a win.
They do want to win. I mean,
who doesn't want to win?
That chair stunt was a win.
Who doesn't want to win? And you know what? You know how you could be winning more often?
How's that, John?
With one of our sponsors today, Beam.
Whoa.
Makers of Dream.
Rhymes.
Okay.
Incredible.
Beam Dream. BEAM.
Dream is a sleepy hot cocoa packed with all natural ingredients like melatonin, magnesium, L-theanine, and reishi mushrooms that supports all 4 stages of sleep. Zach Huddleston, I'm off script right now.
Go off script.
Singing the praises of this product that I just found out about. He's taking it every night. And you know what? Sounds really nice. Like a nice of hot chocolate in the evening that also helps you with your sleep. That's like 2 things that I want smashed together. Genius idea. First off, I've been told Dream tastes good. Zach says it's hot cocoa, right? It's part of Zach's nightly routine that he looks forward to very much. Again, hot cocoa before bed.
Yeah, a nice little treat before bed.
Who doesn't want that?
Sleep.
You can have some as a treat.
Also, it really works. Zach's sleeping so much better without any grogginess the next morning. He has a young child, and he's getting sleep like a baby. Why do people say that?
Because we assume that babies sleep really well, although they're famous for waking up and crying in the middle of the night.
Well, the point. First one. He's sleeping like the first kind of baby.
You see a baby in public just like dead asleep, right? Noise is going on.
That's a good point.
Because they have no worries. Yeah. They have none of the weight of the world on their shoulders.
That's true. They don't know the hellscape that they've been born in.
Exactly.
And look, I want to be very clear. This is not the lorazepam type of I'm taking this and I'm knocked out and I'm groggy the next day. This is like, hey, it's going to help you get good sleep and it's going to help you like start your next day. Gotcha. All of these ingredients are, if you take them correctly, are like primed to get you good sleep and, be alert the next day. With Dream, quality sleep is just a tasty mug of hot cocoa away. So get the sleep you deserve with up to 35% off Dream. Nice. Just use code BREAKROOM at checkout. We love that code. Start trying it on every website. Who knows?
Yeah, you can use this QR code.
Have a cup of hot cocoa. Yeah. And you know what? If it doesn't work for you, you have some hot cocoa in the cabinet.
Yeah.
That's true.
And it's 35% off. It's also gluten-free and some other things that I read on the website that are not in the copy right now. So it's available for a bunch of different people. Yeah, you have someone in your life who's gluten intolerant.
That's right.
So get this for the whole family.
They're gluten intolerant and frankly, they're Brandon intolerant.
That's everyone.
And
though.
there's no beam for that.
There's no beam for that.
Nah.
But it's my dream to talk to you guys about White Lotus.
Oh, baby. Get it off the screen. Get off the screen, Brian. We got to talk about White Lotus. This brand cannot be associated with White Lotus.
Especially because
Duke doesn't even want to be associated
with the title of this episode, I know. Gosh, Duke, shut up.
It's the most on-brand
Listen,
Duke
when it's the Gators versus Duke in that finale, in that Final Four, I'm posting that gift.
Here's the thing. All Duke had to do was lean into it.
They
just had to lean
Look at how rich our alumni are.
I mean,
they're so rich they can afford to embezzle overseas.
This is the most Duke-branded thing ever. That they're like,
if you didn't see the news story,
our brand of exclusively rich white people that are terrible. This is hurting our brand.
Duke came out and said that because Tim was wearing a Duke shirt while he was contemplating suicide, they claimed that the show was glorifying suicide and that wasn't aligning with the Duke brand.
Yeah, they claim it's hurting their brand.
Yeah, there's been no negative association with any Duke sports anywhere throughout time.
Never once.
But let's talk about episode 7 of White Lotus. It was titled Killer Instinct.
Wow.
Not the awesome fighting video game, but this was this episode. It's the penultimate episode, so one more left. And we find several of our key players at Greg/Gary's lavish estate. What a nice house.
So nice.
Greg tries to buy off Belinda, and according to...
Just like I predicted.
Like everyone on the internet predicted. And according to Chloe, he's also interested in setting up a little bedroom scenario with Saxon. But
I think this is a con. This is a con.
This is all part of the con.
No way it's part of the con. There's no way this is real.
Interesting.
We also have Rick confronting his alleged father's killer, but he ultimately backs away from violence there. And Kate, Lori, and Jacqueline are still a mess. And Lori really puts herself in a bad situation this episode.
I loved it.
And Mook tells Guy Talk he better be willing to kill to win her love.
Mook!
Hit the bricks.
Mook, get out of here. I'm no longer Team Mook.
Also, Fabian, my guy. What a set of pipes on Fabian.
Wait, we didn't even get to hear him.
He started singing, and
the tone on the keyboard was really strong.
Like 2 words, and then it cuts to the
I bet there's a cut out there with 4 more minutes of Fabian playing piano, and they're like, this is boring. Let's just show that he's okay and move on.
It's so funny that he was so nervous about it, and then he's has this big setup about this is about my home, and even though it's dirty, it's still my home. And then they're like, cut to the white ladies.
This joke has been done many times, and it works on many levels because I believe it was in Arrested Development. There's a scene where a character's about to audition, and they have learned the whole song. and they screw up at the beginning, and then they sing the rest of the song. But they cut it so that like right after they cut the song. And I think they do it again when they're doing the trial of Captain Hook, that play, and he's like, "You're a crook, Captain Hook," and it cuts out. It was like the actors learned the whole thing, but they just cut it because it's funnier that way. And I think that's what they did here with Fabian.
Yeah.
Also, Lori and Jacqueline and Kate were talking during his performance, which was very rude. Very rude.
Absolutely rude.
And no one else from the staff was there to watch it.
That's true. He tried to invite everyone. He also tried to, he wanted Belinda to come, but everyone was at Greg Gary's party.
So let's break them down character by character.
Okay.
Belinda, the offer from Greg to Belinda.
Belinda, girl, you needed to counter and say $1 million, or at least like $500,000.
He's going low. You go high.
And then when he counters again, then you say, "Let me think about it."
You mean the middle?
You don't say, "Let me think about it" before you counter. You let him sleep. You let him sleep on that number, and you say, like, "Let me think about it."
And even Zion's like, "What the hell are you doing?"
Listen, we live in Los Angeles. $100,000 is like you can.
Money.
Belinda,
that's nothing.
Belinda lives in Hawaii, which is still very
wildly
expensive. Still very, very
wildly expensive.
Here's what I'll say: she has been portrayed as a coward this season.
Who?
I don't think
Belinda.
so.
Okay.
She's afraid of the lizard.
Okay.
She's afraid of these noises, all this kind of stuff. And I'm not saying that as like a negative.
She has trauma.
But she has trauma, right? And so like I think in that scene, she was like, "This guy definitely killed my friend. I got to get the fuck out of here right now."
I agree.
I don't have the gumption to sit here and be like, "How about $1 million?"
I agree.
I think like I would take it and run. If you take that money, there's a good chance I think that like he's never gonna see you again. You're scot-free. You now have $100,000 to go start your business. Like go live a happy life and don't worry about this guy.
You can't start a business with $100,000. She needs to ask for $500,000.
She could also ask for more money. But I do think like if you say no, like I think Belinda is gonna end up saying, then you were worried for the rest of your life that someone is like over your shoulder potentially going to kill you.
Kills him.
This is where the farce nature comes in, right? These people are approaching each other from two different mindsets, okay? I don't even think Greg thinks that Belinda thinks he killed Tanya. Maybe. I think Greg just is like, I don't want to talk to Interpol about what happened.
I mean, that is the excuse that he gives, and I think it's his best excuse.
It is his
I didn't want to deal with it.
He says,
I'm old.
Like,
I'm leaving.
I had nothing to do with it, by the way. That's the most suspicious thing.
Well, what do you want him to say? I had something to do with it?
I mean, just the way he says it immediately. He's like, I think you knew my wife, whose death I definitely didn't orchestrate.
Here's the thing. And
here's an article proving my innocence.
I say this every time about Greg / Gary, okay?
Yeah,
he's a bad dude, and I'm sure he's done like bad things in his life, especially with money. But I do not think he had anything to do with Tanya's death. And he has... For whatever reason, he doesn't want to talk to Interpol, probably because of money stuff, not necessarily like murder stuff. Okay, but he's
portrayed as a not a poor person, but not a White Lotus rich elite person. Okay, in his first season
at White Lotus. How was he there the first season?
He saved up his money, wanted to go get some healing stuff done, right? If I'm remembering
correctly. I think he knew he was going to die.
He had a disease. He knew he was going to die.
He worked for the Bureau of Land Management. He was obviously doing some shady money stuff.
Yeah, shady money stuff. I
make the money to go to like the White Lotus estate. Right?
You think he sold out our country's national parks for status?
Yeah,
no one would ever do that.
He let the Russians drill on.
I just think
I'm tired of Greg Gary now.
I think Belinda is making poor choices based on her by her on her perceived what happened here, and even her son is like, "What are you talking about?"
Her boyfriend is not in this episode. She did not get any. She just spends the time stressed. She had one episode where she got to have sex and like live stress-free, and then it all came crashing down.
Well, I think we're gonna get a cut to in the next episode where Pornchai was there the whole time, but he's the one that's cucking Gary and having sex.
Well, these two episode 6 and this episode 7, are basically like the same day.
Yeah.
Because episode 6 ends right before the events of episode 7.
Right.
So she hasn't had time to have sex with Pornchai.
That's true.
Give her a break.
True.
Let the man have a break and eat a sandwich.
I was so mad that her son made a delicious plate.
Let
no one
Zion
got to eat.
The boy hasn't slept. He hasn't eaten.
There's like delicious shish kebabs. You know Gary is getting the finest food.
Yeah, Oh, they left.
She made him left.
And she put her plate down too.
And I was like, this is like the ultimate blue balls for me. Like, I want people on this show to eat.
And all you get at the resort is fruit and rice. You're not getting meat there.
Everyone's got diarrhea.
Yeah. Okay, so that's...
Speaking of diarrhea.
So that's Belinda and Innocent Grey.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Saxon, okay?
Okay.
He's listless. He's a mess. You know, he's reaching out to Chelsea, and I've seen some people online kind of giving hot takes that like Chelsea and Saxon are going to end up together at the end.
I mean, he is the ultimate, now he is the ultimate wounded duck. Right. I still think Chelsea's going to die.
I was going to say, the only problem with my theory is that Chelsea's 100% dead.
I think even in this episode, all the evidence is, she says, oh, bad things come in threes, and we've seen her avoid death twice. They reminded us of both this time because she had the snake bandage on her leg, and we saw the snake bracelet in the Russian's place.
And the snake tattoo on
the snake tattoo. So we're reminded of, oh, yes, this is she has avoided death twice. And the speech that she gives about, I am hope and he is pain, and eventually one of us will win. And also the fact that Goggins gets to smile this episode. And in that moment, he was like, oh, I can let it all go. I can be happy with my glorious teeth, girlfriend.
Her name's Chelsea. She has a name.
I thought you were talking about his glorious teeth.
Gina only refers to Chelsea as teeth.
Their kids would have the biggest teeth of any kid. That kid would be a tooth. I think they're going to reunite because in the coming attractions, they show them embrace. And this show is not going to let them have that beautiful moment. I think she's going to get shot.
Okay. I think it's a red herring because they're making it so kind of obvious.
But it's obvious that any of them could die. At this point, no matter who dies, they're making it as obvious as possible. Really, the only one that would surprise me at this point is Fabian.
I mean, look, season 1, White Lotus, 1 body.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Season 2 of White Lotus,
many
4 bodies?
Many.
3 or 4, something like that.
3 or 4.
What if they all fucking die?
Everyone.
What if they all die?
Just
something bad happens to Tim's kids. He ends up killing himself and his wife.
No, they accidentally make the buffet out of the poison fruit that day, and every single person takes a bite of the poison fruit.
That's a possibility.
All the monkeys unionize and get pissed.
What did you think about Chelsea and Saxon doing the meditation thing?
I think
it felt a little weird.
I think he actually is trying. I think he's trying because he's like, my brother jerked me off and I need to fix my soul. Right. And then in the moment, he was like, I see an opportunity.
Yeah, and he couldn't resist. I mean, to me, that was the obvious thing that was going to happen. I was like, Chelsea, why are you even trying with this schmuck?
I mean, I do think that she sees that he's lost, and I think she can't resist a lost soul. I think he's the most likely candidate to stay at that monk place now because
I think all the Rattlers are staying.
Because he's the one that's the most lost, and that speech that he gives about if I don't have success, I'm nothing. He's already his dad's business is going under. He let his brother touch his wiener. He's got no girls. I think he's gonna stay at that Buddhist temple.
I do think he's gonna start reading one of those books.
I do too. I think he's gonna because she says she's gonna change your life. I think he'll be so desperate he'll read a book and he'll be like, I'm a monk now.
And not to betray his character, right? Maybe he's just reading that book to get it in.
Yeah.
And then it ends up changing his mind.
And then it gets in him.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
Real quick, while we're talking about Saxon, Chloe lays out this situation between herself, Greg/Gary, and Saxon.
Yeah.
Another deeply insane sex
a whole
story.
Yeah, but that one is a con.
Right, that seems like part of a larger con.
So what's the con?
I think Greg/Gary wants money from the Ratliffs.
And he just is like, I already have something on this guy, but I need to double down.
And he wants to get that through extortion somehow, I think.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
I mean, there was a theory that maybe there were video cameras on the boat,
right.
and if that's true, then he can just maybe he's just trying to get him to stay behind to be like, hey, I've got video of your brother jerking you off. Can we? Can I blackmail you? And then he's gonna go to his dad and be like, Dad, I need $8 million. I think the only flaw with this is Greg/Gary's already ridiculously rich. Why does he need more money?
We assume. We don't know if he's blown all of his money.
That's
right.
true.
I mean, he just offered $100K.
That's true.
Right,
which again, suspiciously low though.
It might not be there yet. The check hasn't cleared.
I gotta extort this family real fast.
Yeah. Give me 45 minutes.
Zelle hasn't hit my account.
Which again, Greg/Gary,
you have
bad dude when it comes to money.
App?
Not a great guy, but not a
That
murderer.
was, another fucking hysterical.
Oh,
I mean, everything about that was so great.
Well, I did see it. All right, now we'll talk about the 3 women. I did see a fun theory online that Valentine ran the same scam on Jacqueline, and she paid it.
Maybe she's embarrassed.
And that's what she's so embarrassed about.
I love that. Because 100% they're all running that scam.
Yes.
Right.
But I think he's the one that since he's the face, he's like the face of the one that works at the resort. He's the one that has to keep his nose clean.
That's not.
So I don't think he would. I don't.
But she's also a name, and he probably knows that she's married.
Yeah,
and
but
he
we
can extort her.
saw him leave in the morning, and they both seemed like satisfied and happy. And I think to me this just reads as like she's hungover or something. But yeah, this was like everything about this scene was so great when he's like touching her hair and he's like, "You live in New York, right?"
Dude, that was so uncomfortable. While he's telling a story, he has like his hand on her head.
Yeah,
and I was like, this is so
and she's so smart that she knew right away. Like she's like, oh. And then I was like, how's she getting out of this one? And then when that crazy Russian chick, and that freeze frame of her clinging to the window, which like isn't that far from the ground. I'm like,
no, she should have just
dropped and run. But she's like, ah.
I mean, and I love that he's still like he's getting in a fight with his girlfriend or whoever she is. She's and Lori's long gone at that point, but he's still calling after her. It's so funny.
Like, we'll talk about it.
I can still get this money from you, maybe.
Let's check in.
He's so bad at it too. He's so bad at conning her.
Yeah. Well,
not great. Not great.
It's everyone's. When you go from a smash and grab to a real con.
Yeah. But also he left the booty out in the open, like the riches booty, not when we see her booty when she's running away.
I mean, yes, this is something kind of a lot of the audience had tracked that these Russian dudes were involved in the crime, and this kind of seals it. And was it Guy Talk that was remembering the event?
Yeah, because the bald dude doesn't even, he's just wearing like a regular COVID mask. Like the rest of him is uncovered.
Also, I'm wondering what the communication between Valentin and Guy Talk was before this fight. Because Valentin had invited him, but they're sitting all the way over there and he's sitting with Mook and it's like, can I sit with you guys? Are you doing your own thing today? Like, what's the deal?
I don't know.
I thought we
just
together.
Got him like tickets. Maybe it's general. I assume it's general seating.
Yeah.
They arrive at different times. It's too hard. We didn't say.
He's like, oh, that's my coworker.
Yeah.
They're
but now Guy Talk does have something on these sort of dangerous guys. We don't really know how dangerous they are compared to all the other dangerous men on this show.
They carry guns and they are willing to hit at least. We don't know if they're willing to shoot somebody. They're willing to do a little bit of that. Guy Talk and Mook, they go on their date.
Bad date.
He
planned out a lovely evening. He takes her to this like food market and they share food, and then that's when she's like, yo, you gotta be ready to kill a bitch. And he's like, but I don't, Buddha says don't do that. And she's like,
Buddha's specifically not ready to kill a bitch.
Yeah, like he's
so here's my question.
He gets her on a date and he's already said like, hey, we should be together forever. Yeah. Essentially, which is creep. Because they haven't been on a date yet. And then right away, he's like, by the way, I'm not getting promoted at work.
Yeah, but
I'm a walking failure.
But like not just like not he says like she says, how did you do at the shooting range? And he did well. But he's like, but like this dude doesn't think I have a killer instinct. And this is like him being vulnerable. Like he's like, hey, I don't think I have it in me to like shoot someone that needs to be shot. So I don't think this job is for me. And instead of being like, oh, there are plenty of other opportunities for a smart guy like you. Sure. She's like, well, I'm done. You ruined my appetite, sir.
Well, maybe that's how she feels about the situation.
Well,
and she's entitled to feel that way.
She is, but
she doesn't have to be anything for Guy
She's
Talk.
like manipulating him, though. Like, even at the fights, she's like, see, it's natural to kill someone in the ring.
Because he's too scared to even like get
he's
a
not
better
scared.
job at work.
He's not scared. He says in Buddhism we're not like violent. All violence is wrong. And instead of respecting that, she's like, yeah, well, if you want any of this poon, you gotta break a nose or two.
What does the Buddha say about breaking into someone's hotel room?
I mean, they're probably fine with it if it's the Ratliff family.
I mean, something was stolen from you.
Hey. Allegedly.
You go get it back.
Allegedly.
We have it on camera.
But he has on camera of the man going into his hut and then leaving the hut.
He prevented several murders by stealing that gun back. So also, I think it's net positive.
Yeah, truly. Also, gotta wonder, no one else was looking at that security footage?
No one knows the gun's missing.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the guy knew the gun was missing for a minute.
But then he finds it.
You don't assume that
yeah.
Tim Ratliff came and grabbed it because Duke's doing bad in the playoffs.
Fair enough.
Let's talk about the rest of the Ratliffs, okay?
Yeah.
I'm kind of Tim's murder-suicide.
I'm getting tired.
Family annihilation fantasies are a little much for me.
I don't think it's gonna amount to anything.
No.
Just because they've hung a lampshade on it so many times. Victoria was so fantastic this episode when she says to that girl who, like, we don't know who these people are, right? Like
the boat people.
The boat people. Oh my God, she's like, why are you with this balding middle-aged man? Are you afraid of him? I can get you out of it.
So good.
I wanted her to take her up on it just to see her spring into action.
No, the woman says, "I love him."
Yeah.
And
it's possible, Gina. People can love each other.
These are all we've seen at this party and at this resort. There are a lot of young, hot women with unattractive, rich men.
Okay.
You think that has to pay off somehow, right? It's not just like Gary has a bunch of rich friends that are, old white dudes who have young.
Yeah. What do they call them? The boys back home.
Right. I don't know. Was there it would have been interesting if there was a single.
They're LBHs,
losers back home. That's right.
It would have been interesting if there was a single woman that was of an appropriate age, not appropriate age, but of a similar age to one of the men that was married and was sort of I don't know what to do with all these 25-year-olds.
I mean, that is Victoria, right? She's married to a wealthy, attractive man, and they are the same age. So that is Victoria. That's why she's like,
what's going on?
You can get a rich guy your own age, because theoretically that's what she did. That's why she says, come to North Carolina. I'll introduce you to some hot rich guys. You don't need to be with this guy.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know which what the show's trying to say necessarily. Whose preconceptions they're playing on here, right?
Yeah.
Is it Victoria's? Is it the audience's? Because we assume that these are all relationships of convenience and not necessarily based in love. But what if this woman really loves the man she's with? We don't know anything about these two people.
I think that this is all the log line of this episode is what the monk said about how a lot of people come to this country, they're disconnected from everything. They're disconnected from other people. They're disconnected from nature. They're disconnected from this. They want more and they want more, but when they get it, they're still not happy. And I think that is what everything stems from. And I think that that's part of it. These men are sort of deeply unhappy. These women are deeply unhappy. Chelsea is sort of the only one that has any self-awareness of how to get this happiness and how to live in happiness. And everyone else is just boning or stealing or trying to bone or trying to steal, trying to get money, trying to bone, avoiding the monkeys with the guns. I think that's what that chick is. So when she said I love him, it's she's used to saying this.
I think she really loves the man, and she's playing on your
Well, it would be a nightmare if you were like, yeah, I'm not really into him, but he's got a lot of money, and then Victoria's like, hey, I just had a conversation with your wife.
Yeah, she can't say it. She can't say it.
She literally says you can't ask me that question.
Also, this is self-deception too, right?
Sure.
One of these women, you can't. I mean, we all remember.
Why not trick yourself into loving someone for 5 to 10 years?
Hugh Hefner was sort of with all those 3 women. They genuinely seem to like him and enjoy his company, but it's a deep. If I don't fool myself hard enough, I will have to eat the poison fruit.
I think that's true, right? If you are set on marrying rich, and that means marrying old, you just got to find someone that you can stand.
And you just got to. I mean, it's a different version of what we saw in the season 1 with Dondario.
Right.
Where it's I'm either going to be deeply unhappy, or I have to fool myself into thinking I'm not deeply unhappy.
And she just chooses
to fool herself.
Stay, yeah.
Okay, so let's make a final pick. There could be more than one death on this show.
Yeah.
But if you have to pick one person you are locked in will be dead by the end of the final episode, give me one name of who you think will be dead.
I hate it, but I'm going with Chelsea.
Brutal.
I know it's brutal, but I think she can't live.
Brutal.
Well, I won't double pick, but I do agree. I think Chelsea's definitely one of the people that's going to die.
We also saw someone do meth this episode, so
we did.
After
we didn't talk about them. They had a bender.
After months of being sober.
As soon as Rick's friend wanted a drink, I was like, oh boy.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
I was surprised that they weren't gonna find a couple people to hook up with.
I think this was showing that Rick has moved past it all.
Yeah.
And now wants to be with Chelsea.
I also don't think Rick never seemed like the type to cheat. He was so consumed with revenge. He wasn't consumed with getting that puss.
But just after the story from the previous week, I was like, oh, I wonder if they're setting us up to have some crazy tie orgy.
No, I think he's just in the midst of drugs and titties, and he's like, I kind of just want to go back to Chelsea.
You think Chelsea?
No, I mean, I do think Chelsea, but if I have to pick an original character,
you don't have to.
I'll do Guy Talk. I think all this stuff about him, like, needing to show like he's gonna be in a bad situation. He's gonna get killed because he doesn't have the courage.
I could also see him shooting the bodyguards and like Mook being like yay and him being like nope, I'm out. This just damaged my soul irreparably. I don't want you anymore.
I guess I'm thinking of the opposite situation. He confronts the bodyguards. They're like, we're gonna fucking kill you. He's got a gun, but he's too afraid to use it. Anyways, Brandon, your pick.
I'm sad to say it's gonna be Greg.
Wow, Gary.
Wow. The innocent man's gonna go down for a crime he didn't commit, and I hate to see it.
Just because you want that storyline tied up in a neat little bow that we don't see it. I can see
White Lotus has been the slow story of Greg/Gary.
I can see it. He's the only one who like he appeared in season 1, season 2, and season 3. It doesn't seem very Mike Whitey to continue him on another season.
I don't know.
I could see that.
Tanya's going to come back and she's going to get killed.
I really don't think any of the Rattlers are going to die, but if any of them do, I think it's unfortunately Lachlan, the youngest, because he's been rejected by both of his siblings, and I think it's sad. Well, that's it for us today.
Is there incest rejection?
Well, no, I was very relieved that his sister left that room without them doing incest stuff.
I didn't think that was going to happen.
As soon as she walked out, I was like, oh, thank God, I can't handle another week with incest.
I didn't think that was gonna. I think him being like, I want to come and be here with you. She's like, I don't want that.
Yeah,
I think that's breaking his little heart, and like he can't do anything wrong. Well, that's it for us today. Make sure to subscribe to the Breakroom channel right here on YouTube, and give us a follow on Twitch where we do videos like this live. Make sure to follow at Breakroom NR on Instagram, Twitter, Threads, X, Blue Sky, wherever you can find us. We'll catch you next time. Late escape us. Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.